Right. My, yeah. My name is Dorothy Techiakwa. I am a lecturer with the University of Cape Coast, the Department of Sociology and Anthropology. I am also a researcher at the Center for Gender Research, Advocacy and Documentation. And so as Ghanaians will term it, I'm an academic because I've been teaching in the university for a couple of years now. Want to know about my natural hair story? I am, how long have I had this hair? I've had it for almost from 2017, I should say, when I fully had something to show for my natural hair. But I had attempted to have a natural hair around 2011, where I was still an undergrad. I think I was getting to the second semester of my undergraduate studies. And I remember by then I had had a semester abroad. And when I came back, I told my father that even while I was there, I saw that having a permed hair was unsustainable. And so I wanted to change my hair. And my father told me, once you still live under my roof, you can't have that impese on your head. You have to either cut it short or have a permed hair. And so I would say that was my first attempt, which failed. So my failed attempt was in 2011. But it was in 2016, August, September thereabout, where I decided that I think I am old enough to take certain decisions by myself, and so I will attempt again to do my natural hair. And so I started growing it. I didn't have locks from the beginning. I started growing it to a point where I think it was long enough. And I then took the final decision of telling my hairstylist to permanently lock it. And so that was the ending of 2016. And even when I did that, I was still sort of covering it up with human hair. I was still using the synthetic hair to braid it, to make it look longer, so that people won't criticize my impese or what my father called it when I attempted in 2011. So until then, I've had this permanent locks, and I think I like it every day. I like it more and more every day, and I wouldn't change it. So my hair story has been one that has had one failed attempt, and now the second attempt was successful. And my hair story has also been one where I had to take very bold individual decisions. Even when my parents, some people I admire and adore so much, would resist. But at some point in time, I had to convince them that this is what I want. And I even tried to be a doctor to explain to them, or perhaps a dermatologist, to explain to them that it is healthier than having a permed hair, because of the pressure that the chemicals put on your scalp, and the supposed research that shows that you can even get cancer out of out of some of the chemicals that you use. Well, at some point in time, I felt that they didn't accept it so much. But I think that, yeah, because of the sound. Yeah. So if you ask me about my hair journey, I mean, I would say it has been a journey which has been relatively smooth, but I've had one failed attempt, and the second one that I tried worked. Even with the second one, when I was trying to convince my parents, whom I look up to, who advises me and I take it, I still had to do some work by telling them that when you perm your hair, the chemicals even have some kind of negative impact on your scalp. So the research that shows that you can even contract cancer, certain kinds of cancers, from using the chemicals. And the fact that it's expensive, and for me, and the kind of work I do as a researcher who is always often on the road, it's very unsustainable to have this permed hair, this wigs on, especially when I have, my own reservations about, how your hair should smell and all of that. I cannot keep a hair that is like that. So I use some of these things to convince them to accept. Even though at that point in time I was old enough to take my decision, I had to do the home, should I say, damage control by telling them that is the best decision for me at that point in time. So briefly, that is what I can say about my hair story or my hair journey. And then that brings me into your question about how do I maintain the hair, and then the implications. You know, when it comes to the chemicals, the health wise, I think that I'm better off than those. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a wrong choice. I'm choosing my words here very carefully. I am not saying they are making a wrong choice by perming their hair and using chemicals. But for me, I think that if you put the two options side by side, I would always choose to have my natural hair without chemicals. It's an easy way for me to just get up and go. I don't need to comb it a certain way. I just have to sometimes tie it up and I'm already on my way. The maintenance is low, and so for me the cost is lower also. And then the health implications, I get more benefit than someone who would want to perm and twist them and the kinds of unnatural hair that other people want to keep. And so those are the things that perhaps I can share about the first theme that you questioned me about. And so on the sociocultural implications or the sociocultural issues that are surrounding natural hair, I would say that there are a lot, especially when you live in a society like ours, as a Ghanaian society, where we already have this baggage of colonization, where women were taught to be in a particular way. Women were taught to, have straightened hair. Women were taught to have certain kinds of maintaining the hair to appeal to the men at that time, or to fit in, or to look like the masters, the colonial masters that they were serving at that point in time. And so, talking about sociocultural issues, and even if you go way back into history, into colonization, I think that our mentality, our ideas and acceptance of what kind of hair to keep even has this colonial root that is sort of taking our own identity from us and replacing it with those of the colonial masters. And so even though we have had so many generations, until right after where we had our independence, we know that the younger generation or the youth are still, they still embody these colonial ideas of a woman has to look a certain way and all of that. And the media has also sort of rehashing these messages and telling us to look a particular way. And so all of us who want to look like the Nicki Minaj, all of us who want to look at the people on TV and the way, a certain way that they look. If your hair is rough, you have a bad hair. If your hair is straight, then you look like a woman, and then you're pleasing, and then you're wanted. And so with these ideas and the way that the youth embody these ideas, there is still this idea that you would have to have a straight hair to be accepted. But I cannot also close my eyes to the fact that this is shifting over the years. I think that people with natural hair, especially those with locks like myself, are getting more and more accepted. People meet me on the street these days and they tell me, "Is that your hair?" I said, "Yes." "Oh, okay, I want mine to be like yours." And then you have to even give them hair advice and all of that. So I think that there's been a shift, but I cannot say that there's a total shift yet. Still, there are certain expectations of women and the way you are supposed to don your hair and take care of it. But I think that still these colonial mentalities, and then the things that media is also shoving down our throat, is still embodied by younger generation. And so also on that theme too, you asked the question about what are the shifts that are happening over the years, and I alluded to the fact that I cannot say the shift is not happening, but I think we will still need more time for us to have a total shift. Why am I even saying that we need a shift? Somebody might ask, and why do you think that your shift should be the good shift that everybody should have, right? Changing from doing whatever we want with our hair to keeping it natural. For me, I think that even when we are talking about environmental sustainability, if we go into the research about how the hair is produced, where they are from, how they are disposed, even has some environmental challenges. So one of the reasons why I can even advance that this shift, perhaps from my own perspective, is a good shift is that even for environmental sustainability, people donning natural hair seems to be the very good choice. Um, and so I would preach and advocate every day of my life that people should change. Uh, um, if they don't have it, they should change to it. If they are now trying to ask questions about what they should do with their hair, they can go ahead and keep it natural and keep it locked so that it can be managed. I think that, okay, so I think that's going to be cut off. The thing has stopped working. So I couldn't see. Yeah, it did. No, no, so I don't know. Prof, have I covered the second theme? Uh-huh, yes. Yes. I think that. Accept. Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Right. Yes. Yes. Yes, an employment worker or things like that. Okay. But does that mean that that camera is not working? Or the, oh, okay. But it's just that the PC have gone off. Oh, okay. And if perhaps you can also coach me about maybe the pace with which I'm talking and it's fine. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. People say I talk too fast, so I want to know if I'm I'm running away. Because if you want to change anything, then you not be yourself. Of course. So, so about proper representation and then um, paid access to certain things, right? Yes, yes. Okay. Are you ready? Can I? Ah, yeah. There's a motor. Mm. Can we go on again? Okay. So can I go on now? Today you are the director. I'm the actor. Ah, oh, okay. So there's no need to wait for you. Oh, okay. You have turned the place into your studio. Right. So on the question of whether, I am accepted and what does my hair has to do for my person who my belongingness, I would say that in as much as I have not felt any adverse pushback or should I say somebody stopping me from entering certain places, I can't also say for a fact that I have been totally and wholeheartedly accepted. Um, for instance, let me give you an example of the second point on acceptance. It has to do with when you meet new people. Anytime I walk into lecture rooms to teach, I mean, some people sometimes would want to ask you certain questions about your hair. They want to ask you certain questions about who the lecturer is, and the way you look different from I mean the people that they know in terms of how they carry themselves regarding hair. Should I start that? Okay. So in terms of acceptance into the social spaces and what this has to do for um, my belongingness, my sense of belongingness, and perhaps my personhood, and then the way I am sort of trying to also define my own identity. Um, in as much as I can't say I have been negatively, opposed in the community or in the society where I find myself, I can't also say that I have been wholeheartedly accepted in certain spaces because of the way I look in terms of my hair. Um, one thing, caution that perhaps I also throw is that I am not your kind of typical Ghanaian woman. Yeah, this guy. Or he thought you told him to go and continue. Yes. Can I? Or if they need to go and then we can continue after two, that's fine. So that we don't.
We are almost done. Let's just wrap it.
Really? I thought you were going somewhere at 11.
Yes, but then, like
Because we are not almost done. We are with one theme left. So if you have time in the afternoon, I'm here the entire tomorrow also.
spend 20 minutes to finish.
Okay. Fine.
Let's spend the next 20.
Let's do it. So we check it.
We know that we have a complete, yet if we check and if there are issues with it, then we do the afternoon.
Oh, okay. Okay. Right. So in terms of acceptance into my social spaces, and here as an academic, one of the key social spaces where I occupy would be the university space. Um, I was relating to somebody one time about how students perceive and interact with me anytime I walk into the lecture room, especially when you're teaching some with students who are older and then expect you as a lecturer to look a particular way in terms of even physique, not even talk about the hair, and later, okay, madam, we see that other people have a hair in a particular way, but why is it that you have dreadlocks? And I used to get those questions from the beginning, but now some of my colleagues are also donning natural hair, so it makes it easier. And so that comes with a non-acceptance. Even though they would not, because the power dynamics are different, they would not tell you we don't accept what you have, but they have a way of talking about it to make you feel this is not the ideal way, and they also presume that lecturers are of a particular class, and so you should be able to afford certain things. And if you're keeping a natural hair, it's either perhaps your money is not enough for you, or you are stingy. You want the easy way out and all of that. Natural hair, yes, for me is economical, but I don't think it's entirely cheap. If you want to keep it cheap, then you don't keep dreadlocks, then you cut them. So those utterances makes me feel sometimes in certain spaces that I'm not totally accepted, because there are questions and then the way that people would want you to look. And in terms of church, I go to programs and, pastors are preaching and sometimes they forget, I don't know whether they are um, against natural hair or a particular way that academics, especially those who profess to be feminists also, have to look a particular way. They forget themselves and begin to say things that these days the women who can't keep home are like this, they have these kinds of hair, they are academics, they are feminists and all of that. So you could see that there are certain intersections of not just the hair, but at least the hair becomes something that is visible for them to see. It becomes an entry point based on which, you know, people get interested and then would want to know the other things, and then they can make conclusions about you and all of that. Just a week ago, I had an interaction with somebody who says that, who was speaking about me to a friend, that this your friend looks like a weirdo. I mean, she's different and all of that. And then it comes back to the point that I look different, I walk differently, I speak differently. I have different ideas about things, especially hair, and that makes me different from other women. So that is just on that score. But I can't say that me deciding to have a natural hair has actually impeded me from getting certain positions. I cannot say I know exactly what happens behind closed doors when people are determining, say, my promotion or determining where to give me contracts or research projects. But I can say that I am not sure it has actually impeded me from getting certain opportunities, as in being on a research project or even in the church and other academic spaces like the university. And one thing I see that is refreshing is that most female or women academics, I should say, are becoming more acceptable, and they are becoming more, you know, comfortable with donning natural hair. And so, a crowd, when you have a lot of people going a particular way, I mean, there's this comfort in the fact that you are not the only one, but other people are doing it. And so that is the point I can say about that theme. And then the political issues. I mean, this could be a whole topic we can talk about from morning till evening. The political issues. You know, natural hair these days have been synonymous to women of a certain class, especially when other renditions like sister locks, which are very difficult to maintain, especially when they are tiny and all of that. I think people are understanding that it is not as cheap as they thought, and it takes people of a certain class to be able to have that kind of hair and also maintain it. And so natural hair has become synonymous to, yes, women who are of a certain class, who are feminists, and women who are also in a particular space, urban areas, for instance. I mean, I might be wrong, but these are my personal observations that I have made over the years, that more people are comfortable to choose and to even decide to have natural hair when they are in spaces like the university, and the university is also usually in urban areas. And this class of people usually are seen as the elite of society. And so the shift is progressing this way. It used to be that natural hair was for a people, I mean, because you can't maintain your hair, you can't afford the wigs, and so you did it. But these days, natural hair has become something that has become synonymous to people in an urban area, so the locale of urbanity. And then when it comes to a certain class of people, the classisms, like these are elite, the academics, they are supposed to be the people of the higher class, okay, and then they are subscribing to these things, so it has become synonymous to it. And that has also shifted the natural hair, should I say, the skills itself. The salons and people who do it are now pushed to excite their customers. If these people are occupying a certain kind of social class called elites, then they would have to sort of adopt certain skills to be able to appeal to them and all of that. So yes, the shift is happening. More and more people of the top class that are considered by society is getting involved, and so it is becoming more synonymous to people of the elite class. And so, me personally, as an individual, if you ask me how I am placed within the politics of natural hair, I would say that I'm both an activist and a practitioner, because I have a natural hair and I like it that way, and I advocate, you know, I do advocacy particularly for people to come to natural hair, because I mean, I want to win more souls you know, into my fold. And the fact that I also know that it has positive health implications, I would recommend that people come into that fold. So within the politics, using my peculiar space as a woman academic where I get the opportunity to speak to other younger women and to do research about natural hair and to also have that space to speak about social issues and even environmental issues. Of course, I am an activist. I would always advocate that more and more young women and even young men who are interested should come into the fold. And one thing about politics is also about identity. And for me, as a black African woman, academic, I think that my activism also has to do with the fact that our natural hair is African and it portrays a certain unique characteristics of an African culture. And without me straightening my hair, actually portrays the true nature of what I have. And so for me, my activism also has to do with the African identity. Of course, people will call it Africanacity, isn't it? To show my identity and to place myself as an activist and a practitioner within that space. So my unique position, again, comes to bear, of course, because now I have the opportunity to have access to research, have access to documentaries, have access to videos and information about these positive impacts and negative impacts. And so with that unique position as somebody who does research for a living, who teaches for a living, I am afforded the opportunity to make the right choice. So I think that that one is ended. I think there's a last one that I'm not sure if I'm talking about it.
The urban space.
Yes. Okay. And then we are done with that one.
Are we there?
Yes.
Or what?
Let me see if you can put the rest together on the screen.
There's the last two are all about urban. How does it start?
Yes. Yes. That's fine. Yes. So. Yes, that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. That's the last one, and we are done. Can I go on? Fidelia,
Yeah.
should I shoot? All right. So, asking me questions about, how does my hair being how it is, or how does me as an academic living in an urban area influence my choice of hairstyle? I would say it has almost everything to do with it, because one thing, I was talking to you about my unique position as an academic, having access to research and also having to play the activist role to sort of tell people or recruit more people into the fold of natural hair. Okay. What happened? Oh, already.
The new ones there. Get some started. I'll break that door. I'll pour the calendar. Said they will tell them this. Said I'm breaking the door. Please, we are ready.
Right. Can I go on now? I think behind me. Is it okay? Somebody entered.
Matt, this yours. Your company.
Somebody entered. Prof. Ekoye. Hey, Prof.
You play back and you go to
The gaps and the redundant questions and all of that. Okay.
now that the angels too have decided to switch on the light up.
Oh, okay. You don't want that. You don't want it to be that bright, eh?
To
Ah. All right. So the urban area, I mean, the relationship between me and being in the urban area and my choice of hair, um, I would say it has some significance, or there is a positive correlation between that. Because remember when I was telling you my hair journey, I told you I had a failed attempt in 2011. I mean, I was in the university by then, and so I was already in the urban space where university becomes a microcosm of what is happening in the bigger urban space, where we have people from almost all walks of life coming in from the rural, from other urban spaces, even from abroad and other places. And so yes, the urban space affords us the many examples. Okay, it affords us that if you are looking for motivation to start, because you have so many people, you have from different backgrounds, from different cultures, different appreciation of different social issues, it affords you the example, it affords you the space, and it forgives you when you make social mistakes or make fashion mistakes. And so it is like an experimentation ground, which gave me the motivation, which gave me the examples that I can do with my hair, or the journeys that I can decide to take my hair on. And so it really has an influence on my hair story, and it has also afforded me the space to shape my unique position within the politics of natural hair, for instance. Because remember, if this is a university space where there is so much information, and my unique position as an academic also affords me to be able to search for this information and use it, then the urban area has a lot to do with me changing my mind on perming my hair, leaving my parents' ideas about what a woman should look like, and then to choose my own path. And indeed, my hair portrays a certain kind of lifestyle. I would want to consider myself, even though I'm still learning, want to consider myself as somebody who is environmentally friendly and sensitive and do things to support the environment. And so me not subscribing to chemical production, I know what happens in factories and the kinds of gases that are pumped. If I don't buy the UBs and the other thinning and creams, then I at least reduces the carbon emissions, right? Then I reduces, I contribute to reducing the number or the quantum of wrong things that could be emitted into the atmosphere. And if I get a few people to join me to do that, then I'm achieving my aim, right? And so that is on one side. And the kind of lifestyle I wouldn't say is related to religion, but it also portray me as somebody who is very close to the environment, who is close to perhaps to naturalness. I mean, of course, there is a debate where people say that those of you who keep natural hair would want to portray yourself as if that you are the people that we should look up to. That is not what I am trying to portray with my lifestyle, but at least to be somebody of sustainability, to be somebody who is close to the earth and to the Africanness, and also to contribute to that decolonization agenda. And I think that whatever we want to see change, we have to live it. All the theories and things we teach in the classroom, we have to live it in a particular way to transform lives. And so for me, as an activist and also as a practitioner, I would say that that is why I chose that kind of lifestyle. And so the relationship between the urban way of life and natural hair, I mean, I can give you practical examples about, I mean, even Accra, and perhaps I've lived in Accra for a while until I moved to Cape Coast. Cape Coast is relatively, cooler, unlike Accra where we have a lot of traffic and all other issues. When I lived in Accra, I used to bike a lot. If I have to come from Adenta, Fafraha, where I used to live, to Medina to buy something, I would like to bike. And I can imagine if I had a weave on and I had to bike 3 or 4 times in a week to come and buy foodstuffs from Adenta and go back to where I live, I can imagine the kind of stress it would put on my hair, the kind of money I would have to spend, and even the time to go back to the salon to change it and to make it look nice for my next day at work. And so me being a sustainability person and the kinds of things that I choose to do, I mean, weaving and putting perms and things in my hair was not really the way for me. So I would say that the urban way of life makes it more convenient for me to have that natural hairstyle. So it's really more about convenience, about cost, and perhaps also about the fact that I want to just be ready, pick my stuff and go. Don't think about my hair and how I'm supposed to style it. And also I swim. And so imagine that I'm braiding my hair all the time. I can't imagine going to the pool, because no matter what you do, even if you cover it with a synthetic, it's still going to get wet. And so these are some of the things that makes me choose that. And so when you also think about the urban space, what is in the urban space that makes me choose natural hair? You know, now we have many people as practitioners, we have many shops that are offering this service, and so it becomes easier for me to have access to natural hair solutions. Gone were the days where, I mean, growing up, I saw my aunties were using thread to style the hair, because it's so difficult to comb. The moment they finish bathing, our parents will pat them up and try to tie them up, and that was the only way they could deal with the natural hair. But now we have so many options. I can walk to any natural hair salon and then I can get the best styles. And by the time I am done, you will not even be able to distinguish between somebody who is having a weave and somebody who is having a natural hair and things like that. And so convenience, my own personal lifestyle in the urban area, and the pressure that the urban area also puts on me, makes me, conclude